Here's a story. You marry a childhood sweetheart and have 2 kids. One day, he chokes you for wearing a short skirt, and then the domestic violence begins. From punches in the face to being thrown down steps while 8 months pregnant. One year, he forgets Mother's Day and gets you a late gift. After beating on you for your ungratefulness, you grab a knife and stab him in the neck 7 times, killing him while the children are in the next room. You then call the police, but the crazy part about it all is you don't remember doing it. Trappin Anonymous. You'll have to explain to your sons what you did.
Carvel looked at me and he was like, "So you killed my daddy?" I said, "Yeah, I did, son."
What's good? My name is Chris Davis, Trappin Anonymous. Welcome back. Thank you everybody for coming and watching this show, keeping us #1 Black True Crime show. It's just been an amazing ride. We've had a lot of great guests, and we're just gonna keep going. Keep getting these stories out to the public, and just bringing awareness to all kinds of things that wouldn't necessarily get the light on typical TV news. Y'all know what it is when y'all come here and what to expect from the platform. I just want to thank you all infinitely for helping us create this space. Do remember that the stories that you hear reflect real life. They're here to inform, educate, and keep your little homie off the streets. My name is Chris Davis, Trappin Anonymous. Let's get it. How are you?
I'm okay.
I'd like to start with your name and why your story is important.
My name is Paige Parkinson. I like to think that my story is very important for numerous reasons. One being that I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And it's important because a lot of people aren't educated on domestic violence. They feel like it's just a physical thing. But my story is important because it educates you on domestic violence. It gives you the red flags and the warning signs. It also reflects on people like me that don't have a voice sometimes. And also for the survivors that actually made it out, they're scared to speak up and talk.
Okay. Paige Parkinson, they called you the Mother's Day killer.
Yeah, they did. That's the narrative they ran with about 12 years ago with my situation. They said that I killed the father of my child over a card and flowers, but it was more deeper than that. I was being abused for a long time.
Did you kill him?
Yes, I did, but not intentionally.
Take me through that day.
I believe Gerard came in the house like around maybe 10 something. I was in bed asleep and he left again, and he left with his mom. I had heard his mom. So I watched the movie and fell asleep again. That's when he came in and I felt him put some flowers next to me, but I don't remember seeing the card at the time. So his people came in, they sat with us for a little bit. He started yelling at me about being ungrateful, about me not appreciating the present. It wasn't that I didn't want the present because it wasn't good enough. It's just that to me, Mother's Day was over with. And it's something we would have got over in the next 24 hours. It went to the point where I was angry that I wanted to take his life. So after that, everybody left. My brother came over, asked Gerard for a gun. Then he left. I got up to lock the door. And that's when he started the argument from me locking the door. He started saying, "You ungrateful bitch, you don't appreciate this and that." And I think I was telling him something like, "Well, I don't want it because Mother's Day over with." But he was more so mad that I didn't accept the present. That's what angered him, and that's what set off the fight. So that made him mad. So while we were arguing, he came over, and I just remember him slamming my head into the wall like real hard. And I can remember me trying to get him off of me, and for some kind of way, it's like he slammed me on the floor. Because I believe on the wall, he was choking me on the floor. He was choking me to the point where I couldn't breathe. He was fighting on me, choking on me. So I don't know, some type of way I tried to get up. And I believe as I was running out the door, that's when I grabbed what I seen first, which was the knife. I remember him cutting me off and coming towards me, and then I just remember blanking out after that. And then when I came to, it was just like it's like a bunch of blood.
Wow. So you don't actually remember stabbing him?
So that's why I told you the only reason I found out about how many times he was stabbed was from somebody else. And when you told me what you read in the news article, that was news to me. So what it did was it triggered me all over again. So after having that conversation with you, I told my husband, because he never heard me talk about this ever. And the next day I remember going to my mom's house, and I remember telling her what you told me. And it just broke me down to my knees again. Like, it was like I was living it over again, because all I knew was what she told me. But it's like, when 7 times, that's like a lot to me, you know. So imagine for 11 years hearing that you only stabbed him twice, and you know the reason why he died was because you pierced the major artery, and that's, you know. And then when you told me what you told me, I relived it again. And telling my husband, you know, after I broke down in my mama's arm, she was holding me, like, was crying from my soul, and she held me all the way until I came, you know, got it out. And I told my husband again, and I just was crying on the phone with him again. So
7 times. So when you said it made you relive it, when you say relive it, you mean relive it in a sense of it brought you back to that exact moment, or is it more so reliving it like, I can't believe that I did that?
I can't believe that I did that.
So when you saw the pool of blood, how did you react? What did you think? What was going through your mind?
I think at the time the only thing I was concerned about was getting him help. I remember seeing the blood, and I remember I immediately, like, tried to help him. I tried to help him, like, you know, I tried to help him to the couch. And at that point, it just started feeling like an out-of-body experience. Like, you know how you watch yourself do something, but you're not, you know, I don't know how to word it, but it's like you watching yourself do something, and it's like, it's not really you doing it.
Right.
So that's how I felt.
At any point, did you believe that he was dead?
No, it's like, I knew something was very wrong, but I remember smelling the smell of death. It's like, it's not like, it's something I smelled before, but it's like with the blood, and then it's like this smell that just kind of like met me, and I kind of just instantly like knew what it was, but I didn't know for sure if he was dead physically.
It's like a gas.
Yeah.
What happens next? Do you call the ambulance? Do you call the cops? Do you call his mom? What do you call?
From my understanding, I called the laws. From what I was told, like I said, it all just started feeling like an out-of-body experience, like I was in a dream. And I just remember telling myself over and over, like, this not real. This not real. This a dream.
Right.
I'm going to wake up soon. This a dream. This a dream. I remember just seeing all the lights. I remember just hearing the officer scream. I remember hearing my kids scream. I just remember it was just all like an out-of-body experience. Like, it was like a dream.
Your kids were there?
My kids were there. One of them, I think, I was asleep with one of them. And I believe Demarion was in his bed. So, yeah.
What was their reaction coming out to that?
Well, I don't know because they were like little babies, you know. Like, I think Carvel was maybe 6 months and Demarion was like 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really think they knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm. And this is their father?
This is their father.
I guess, what did it mean for you over the course of time to think about taking the life of, your kid's father and like someone you was in love with, right?
Right. Love them so much. For me, for a long time, because I didn't know how to forgive myself. It felt like I was wearing blood on my hands that people couldn't see for a long time. I just felt like I had blood on my hands for a long time, and it was hard for me to forgive myself because it's like you battling against what people saying about you versus who you know you are. And it's like, am I this person that they say I am? Or am I this loving person that I know I am? So it was like them versus what they say versus who I know I am.
One day, you'll have to explain to your sons what you did, if you haven't already.
Yes, I have.
How'd that conversation go?
I feel like after trial, that was like the second hardest thing I had to do with this whole situation because for a long time my kids was asking about what happened to their father, and then me and my auntie and my uncle decided that when they understood terms like domestic violence or battered woman syndrome or self-defense, that we would be able to have a conversation with them. And so eventually they got old enough to where they kept asking, and they was like, we feel like we old enough, we need to know. And I had to decide how I was gonna go about that. So I kind of was going back and forth because I don't think I was ready to do that because I was like, they're gonna either hate me or they're gonna accept me. But I have to tell them because I didn't want nobody else to tell them. Plus, this is public information. All they have to do is Google my name. And I didn't want the world or the internet to paint them a picture of me that they didn't know about me. So I remember one day I got them and I told them, I said, well, y'all been wanting to know what happened to y'all daddy. So a friend of mine gave me some advice and he was like, well, why you just won't watch a domestic violence movie with them and sit them down and ask them questions as they're watching the movie? And ask them how they feel about the movie as y'all watching it. And then after it's over with, then you explain to them that that's what you went through with their father. So I did, and I asked him questions throughout the movie, like, Carvel, how you feel about this? And he was like, Mama, I don't want to watch this. He hurting her. She keeps trying to leave him, and I'm tired of seeing her get beat by him. My son was like, why she just won't kill him? Why, my other son, So after the movie was over with, and I looked at their opinions and their reactions, I looked at them and I said, well, I wanted y'all to watch that movie because that's what your dad used to do me. And I said, I want y'all to know something. I said, y'all dad was not a bad person. He loved y'all dearly. He just made bad decisions. I said, and when he was young, he used to see domestic violence too. So a child mimics what they see. So I said, this is what happened with me and your father. I said, and I was defending myself. And Carvel looked at me and he was like, so you killed my daddy? I said, yeah, I did, son. I said, not intentionally, not to do it just because. I said I was trying to protect myself. So he said, Mama, I still love you. And my other one said, well, I know you had to do what you had to do, Mama. If he was hurting you, you shouldn't have been taking it. So they accepted it. They took it pretty well.
What movie was it, by the way?
It was an old movie on Lifetime called Donna. It's like a Donna something movie.
Okay.
But in the movie, she hired somebody to kill her husband because she couldn't fight him.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do enough, but that wasn't the moral of my story because Jennifer Lopez, she actually planned to kill her husband at the end of it.
Right.
So I just went with that story.
Yeah, I was thinking enough too. They arrest you. Let's go back. They arrest you. What do you remember about the arrest? What do you remember about the arraignment? What do you remember about being in a cell?
I remember it was like a blur. I remember being like checked in, and I remember people just staring at me. And I remember asking myself why they kept staring at me. But when I took off my clothes, I see me and I was covered in blood. So it's like I see, but it's like it's blurry. Like, and I don't come to. I'm under this daze. Like I just hear Usher song climax just ringing in my ear. Like it's like I know I'm here, but it's like I'm not here. So I'm really in a daze until the next day I'm in jail. That's when I finally came to.
So you don't really remember ambulance coming. You don't remember being, hey, you're going to be arrested, hands behind your back. All of it's gone.
No.
Wow. Okay, so what is it like in that facility? When you come to, what was that thought? What was that like? What are people saying to you?
The next day, I remember sitting on my bunk, and I kept seeing it on the news because, you know, when you're in jail, they got TV in the bunk. And I kept seeing it, I kept hearing it and seeing it, but I was like, no. And then, like, I remember jumping up off my bunk, and I remember running to the bathroom, and I just started going into a whole panic attack. And I remember this woman coming up, and her name is Gia, and she was like, calm down, you gotta calm down. And then I think that's when everything just, boom, like it just settled in. Like, and it was like all the girls in the dorm, it was about like 20, 25 of them. They came running up to me and they was just trying to keep me under control. But I was screaming like, I'm in jail for murder. I was like, it was crazy. And everybody was just crying and they was like, help her, help her. And then I remember they went to go get this girl, I call her E, but she like my sister to this day, and she came through the crowd, and I remember rocking on the toilet, like having my hand on my ears, and she came up to me and she said, you gotta calm down, because if you don't, you're gonna lose your mind. She was like, they got somebody up in here going through something worse than you. And I didn't know worse was worse until I found out what other people was up in there for. So that's when it finally hit me.
What was some of those other things?
They had women. I was up in there with women for capital murder. I was up in there with women for murder. I remember being in there with this woman. Like, she killed her husband and she stayed in the house with him and his dead body for days.
She stayed in the house with his dead body?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know, in jail, nobody keep no secrets. Like, you can't keep while you locked up. It get around the dorm, and then plus her case was on the news. So it's you know.
Did people come see you? Did people come visit you?
Yes. One thing I will say is I had a great support system while I was in jail. Like I said, my play sisters, the Harris sisters, Rhodey, Kika, Baby, my cousin, even his mom came to see me when I was in jail. His dad.
Wow.
But they wasn't, his people wasn't for support. But I did have like my sister Hilda, my play sister Aisha. I had a good support system.
When you say he wasn't there for support, what do you mean?
Well, when I went to jail, they took my kids. So it's like his dad, I guess he came to come talk to me about that. But I guess I remember looking at him. He just had like this evil look on his face. And I remember my grandmother being with him, and she was just crying so bad he couldn't even get what he wanted to tell me out. So it's like, yeah.
Wow. Did they end up with the kids?
What was that?
Did they end up with the kids?
He did have the kids at first. He had, from what I was told, he had them the night the incident happened. He came all the way down here from Woodville to pick them up and bring them back to Woodville. And that's where they stayed.
So during this time, you don't speak to your kids?
No, I'm in jail going crazy. I'm in jail writing them. I'm in jail going crazy. I'm just trying to figure out where my kids at. So,
how much time do you spend in jail?
First time I spent 2 months and a half. I went in suicide watch and just was dealing with a lot. Was on psych medication to help me sleep at night. During the daytime, try to help me keep my mind off of what was going on. I went through a lot the first time I was in jail.
How did you get out? Bail?
I did, but it was kind of hard because I had one of the worst judges at the time, which was Judge Walker.
What sorts of things would Judge Walker do?
Oh my God, he was like, he was one of them judges. Like, he just had a bad reputation. Like, for example, like, he'll be like, how much time on that clock? And be like, 10 minutes to 5. And he'd be like, well, that's how many years you got. So, mind you, I had all the odds against me when I first caught my case.
Wow. What ended up happening with that judge?
At the time, he was my judge, but then my district attorney was Raquel West, and my court-appointed lawyer was Alderman Samuel. So he ended up being under investigation, and my district attorney ended up having to go into his seat. So I couldn't be in her court no more because it was a conflict of interest because she was my district attorney and she knew too much about my case.
So they ended up sending you
to drug impact court to have my trial.
Wow. Okay. Before we go there, so now you have the ability to fight your case on the outside.
I do, but I end up going back to jail.
Why did you go back to jail?
Because the family got somebody to go to the police station and report an assault. So they were already trying to get me locked back up. So that worked. Judge Walker felt like there was like me getting out of jail, not learning my lesson, so they put me back in jail for almost a year.
Did you ever come in contact with this woman, fight this woman, talk to this woman?
No, we had a couple of words, yeah, but then later on after my trial, the case ended up being dismissed.
When you come home, do you get your kids back? Do you talk to them? Is there any kind of relationship?
I see them, but I can't see them because right now a CPS case is open that states that I can't have my kids back until my case is over with, until I'm found clear of all charges, and they are still in Woodville. But I later on find out that my father-in-law went to a judge to get my rights taken away from me when I was in jail.
Wow. Okay, so you go back to jail because they lie on you saying that you fought this woman. How much time do you now spend in jail?
10 months, 10 months, 10 and a half months, almost a year.
Almost a year. And what's that experience like for you? Because, you felt like, all right, I'm free, this, that, and the third.
And then your freedom snatched right back from you again. So it's like, what lesson do you have for me to learn now, God? And I remember ended up getting a bond lowered that second time, and for some reason I could not get out of jail. Nobody would come bond me out of jail. And come to find out, they had a girl that came through there, and I had never said nothing to this girl ever in my life. But I had ended up having a dream about her, and in the dream, she was stuck between two guys, and it's like they was on top of a cliff, and she was confused in which one she wanted to choose. One of them was a dark, skinny dude, and the other one was darker than the other one, and he looked kind of crazy. So the next morning I woke up, I seen her sitting in the day room, and I say, hey, why you in here? And she looked at me, she was like, you don't know me. I was like, I know, but I had a dream about you last night. I'm just trying to see something. That's when she told me. She was in an abusive relationship with one of them, and then the other dude was her side dude. That's who trying to get her out the trap. So after I talked to her and told her about my situation, I ended up getting bonded out of jail the next week.
By who?
A friend of mine.
What do you think the relationship between that story and you getting bonded out is?
I had to tell her if she didn't get out, what would happen to her.
It's interesting. So bring me to the trial. You waiting all this time,
4 years and 4 days.
4 years and 4 days. You probably going crazy.
I am, because I used to envy people just walking past me, and not because I wanted anything from them, like material-wise, but I just wanted the freedom that they had. Like, they don't have to wake up and worry about if they're going to go to jail for the rest of their life, or, they going to wake up and not have to see their kids or raise their kids. And I'm in my young 20s, so it's like, is this really what my life is? Like, why me, God? Like, why I gotta be dealing with this? Like, why?
Okay, so you finally get to trial. What's trial like? Do you take the stand? What happens?
Trial is scary because it felt like I was in the last days of my freedom. So, night before trial, I get drunk because I want to be numb, because I know there ain't nobody can help me out of this but God. So, first day of my trial, I go to trial. My mama came beating on the door. I would have missed court if she didn't come. It was all over the news that I was going to trial. I just didn't tell nobody because I feel like nobody understood me. So I just was like, whatever happened to me happened. I don't care. So I get up, go to trial. So I'm in trial. I'm looking at this district attorney, and I'm looking at this lawyer, and I'm looking at these jurors, and it finally hit me. You know what I'm saying? You in your final days. This is some stuff you look at on TV, but I am living this. This is my life. So they pick the jurors. 3 of them come forth and say they can't help me in my case because one of them watched me get beat in Pima Village. She seen it herself. Another one seen it. And another one knew my grandmother and she knew me from going to church. So they couldn't do it. So that was the first day of trial. We picked the jurors. So skipping on to the day I did take the stand. I didn't even know I was going to take the stand. The judge asked my lawyer, do you have any more witnesses to call to the stand? And he looked at me. He said, yeah, I called Paige Parkinson to the stand. Totally took me by surprise. I wasn't, ready to go on stand. So I get up there. I tell my story as honest as I can tell it. As much as I can remember, I just tell it. And I can remember, you can hear like a rat piss on cotton, but you can hear everybody just crying. And I remember the district attorney, I guess he was trying to make me angry or something. And I guess it upset him that he couldn't make me angry. So we left court. They left to go get a verdict. And I remember coming out the courtroom and I couldn't hold my balance no more. I just broke down and cried. And everybody was like trying to hold me up and comfort me, but I just was scared. I was scared, and I felt like nobody understood me. So about 30 minutes later, I see my lawyers walking across the street from the other courthouse, and they like, come on, they got a verdict. So I remember I go back in, and we sit down, and he look at me, and I'm like, well, thank you for everything you did. Or I'm telling him, something like that. And he like, do you believe all good things work for those who love the Lord? It's the same thing my uncle told me earlier that morning. And I said, yeah. He said, all right, stand up. So I stood up. The jury stood up. Well, one of them stood up, and the judge was like, well, you got a verdict? And she was like, yeah. And she said, we the jury find Paige Parkinson not guilty. And the court just erupted in applause. And the judge dismissed the court. And I remember trying to get out of there because I kept hearing his family like curse and say whatever they were saying. But before I got to the door, I remember his mama walking up to me and she said, Paige, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I looked at her and I said, Vita, I forgive y'all. Y'all got to forgive me. And I walked away because I felt like it wasn't genuine because you really wanted to see me go to jail.
Who is this lawyer?
Alderman Samuel. Alderman Samuel, what's crazy about him in my story is before he was my court-appointed lawyer, we had paid him 2 months before JR died to represent him in a secret indictment case. And then when he found out he was court-appointed to me, when he came to visit me for the first time, he looked at me and he said, you look familiar. He said, wasn't you that girl in my office trying to pay me to represent your baby daddy for a case? I said, yeah. He said, is that him? I said, yeah. He said, okay. He said, I'm going to do whatever I can in my power to make sure we do what's right for you. And I don't know, something in my spirit just made me believe he was going to do what he had to do to protect me.
And this is a high-profile case.
It's a high-profile case, so it worked in his favor. But he did everything he could. He gathered all the evidence. He did A, B, C, and D. He took my story. He believed me. He believed that when I came in his office them 2 months ago, how I talked to him about my baby daddy, he knew that I loved him.
Yeah. You told me they still got your face in the office.
Yeah, when you walk in, they still have a picture of me the day I won my case. They won my case. They still have it in their office as a reminder.
When he had you on the stand, what kind of questions did he ask you?
Okay. I remember one that stuck out really, really hard, like a sore thumb. Because he was like, Paige, let me ask you something. And I said, yes, sir. He said, is it uncommon for a person to be mad because their spouse missed their birthday or anniversary or a special occasion for them to be salty? I said, yeah, it's common. He said, so would you say you was salty or you was angry the night of the situation? I said, I ain't gonna lie, I was salty. He said, but you wasn't so mad that you wanted to kill him. I said, no, I was asleep. He was like, so it's not unnormal for you to be with somebody and they forget your birthday or anniversary and you kind of upset about that. I said, yeah, but we was gonna get over it tomorrow. So that's one of the questions he asked me.
Wow. The mother, she knew everything that was going on.
Yes, she, not just her, the whole family. Like when they would come around and see me with raw necks and black eyes, it wouldn't be oh my God, what happened? You know, it wouldn't be that. I had to run in her room a couple of times. She had to bang on the door because he had this thing where he liked to hold me hostage. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll put the couch in front of the door, or he'll stop me from leaving, or he'll like stand in front of the door. It's like he didn't have like no chill. Like when he got mad, I remember for a long time I didn't fight back. That's what people don't understand. Like for the first 6 years he beat me, I never fought back. It wasn't until that last year that my grandmother had to convince me that I know you're not ready to leave, and I'm not telling you to leave. This your walk. You gotta walk it out yourself. She was like, but next time he put his hands on you, you just make sure you protect yourself. Basically, like fight back. If he got a black eye, if you got a black eye, he need a black eye. If you got a busted lip, he need to have a busted lip. I know you're not ready to leave because I've been in your shoes before. You gonna leave when you get tired. But if you gonna stay, at least fight back.
This all brings me back to, how did you grow up? Was it domestic violence that you witnessed? What kind of environment did you grow up in?
I grew up in an environment where I won't say we were poor, but my grandmother did the best she could. 1 month the lights will be on, the next month we won't have no hot water, so we warming up water in the microwave to bathe ourselves. She did what she could to raise us the best way she could. I didn't grow up being raped. I didn't grow up seeing domestic violence unless it was between like me and my siblings or, you know, people in my family fighting. But other than that, I didn't grow up seeing domestic violence. I would have never thought I would be a victim of domestic violence. I would have never thought I would have been in a relationship with domestic violence. But people say they won't deal with that, you know what I'm saying? But until you in it, you never know.
You say your grandmother raised you. Where was your mom?
My mama died from cirrhosis of the liver when I was 7.
Alcoholism.
Yeah.
7 years old.
I was 7 and she was 28.
What would lead a 28-year-old to drink from sun up to sundown?
Well, for a long time, I hated my mama and her death because I feel like she chose alcohol over me. I feel like she left me for alcohol. So I hated her and her death for a long time. And I remember recently, like last year, I was talking to this prophet or this apostle, and she was like, your mama want me to let you know she died with a lot of anger. And she didn't know no other way but to drink because there's a lot of things in her life that happened to her when she was young that she didn't understand. And so she turned to alcohol about it. So I called my auntie, which is my uncle's wife. That was her only sibling, which is her and my uncle. And I asked my auntie, I said, well, what happened to my mama when she was young? And my auntie said, Paige, I can't answer that for you. She said, that's the talk you and your Uncle Darryl gonna have to have. She said, because your mama and him went through a lot of stuff when they were younger that your grandmother, when she was in her alcoholism, in her drug station in life, put them through a lot of stuff. So they went through a lot of stuff. Your mama turned to alcohol because she didn't know no other way. So it's like right then in that moment, I got a download that let me know, like, when she was younger, she was raped and abused by family members. I don't know why that just stuck out to me, but then somebody else confirmed it for me, and that's how I knew it was true, that she was a victim of rape, and that's why she drank so much, because she didn't know how to deal with her anger and her hurt, and she felt like that was her only source to ease her pain, which is what I used to do in my abuse.
You felt yourself becoming your mother at one time?
Yeah, I related to her in that sense of numbing the pain.
And what was that experience like for you?
I used to drink because it was my only way to deal with everything that was going on with JR. And I knew that his mama left him when he was a child. So I felt like it was my duty not to abandon him. And we trauma bonded because he was gave up by his mama. My mama left me. I feel like since he was my first love, that's how a man was supposed to love me. But really, I was abandoned by my daddy. So I feel like the first time a man showed me love, that was how a man was supposed to love a woman. So for me, that's how a man was supposed to love me. Like, sometimes I feel like if he wasn't beating me, he didn't love me.
You told me he would beat you for his own entertainment.
Yes. I found it out later on. One day after he beat me, bust my eye, bust my nose, swole my lip. That's when I had that talk with my grandmother, and she told me that she knew I wasn't ready to leave, and he didn't know I was coming back home. But I had made a vow, if I was gonna go back, that I was gonna protect myself. And I did love him, and I was not ready to leave him. Loved him with everything I breathed in life at the time. And when I walked in, him and his friend was at the table, and he didn't see me or hear me walk in, and he was like, yeah, I think I broke her nose. And they was laughing. He was like, I know her face fucked up. Like, so it's like, that's when I found out, like, this not just a problem you have. This is something you like to do.
There was a time where he threw you to the ground while pregnant.
Yeah. I was at my cousin's house in Pillman Village Apartments. And he called me on the phone and was mad because I didn't answer. He was at work. He got off of work, came to my sister's house, Kika, while she was asleep. He went inside her house, and he got my clothes and he threw them in the trash can. I walked up the stairs. Well, she stated it was like a flight of stairs. It was about 20 stairs. So I got to about maybe the 10th stair, and he came at me in the middle, and he started choking me. And while he was choking me, I was leaning back, and then I just flipped over the rail and landed on my stomach. And I was about 8.5 months pregnant. My baby curled up to one side of my stomach. I was trying to like hold my stomach. He picked me up off the ground and started choking me against the wall as if there wasn't enough. And his stepfather at the time, he was out there, he seen it and he called the laws. Got to the hospital, his mom and his siblings was there. He came in the hospital trying to attack me again.
What? At any point, did you feel like this guy might kill me?
Yeah, but I just was like, he gonna change. You know, we get with a man, and that's our favorite thing. Like, oh, I can change him. He gonna change for me. He not gonna be like this always. And that's a lie. Like, that's a lie. JR had experienced hurt from his mom not wanting him, and he used to see his dad beat his mother. So it's like he was kind of like living his dad's life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that you beat murder Um, that's not an easy thing to do. They offered you 32 years.
Yes.
You said no.
No. My lawyer didn't feel like that was the best decision for us to go with because I had police reports. I had witnesses. I had a paper trail of things that transpired in our relationship that proved otherwise.
I speak to a lot of domestic violence victims. One thing they always tell me is, if they put their hands on you one time,
They're going to keep on doing it. And it's like they all the same. It's like the same story. They all the same because it's like you let it slide that first time because you're kind of in shock and you kind of in denial. You probably make an excuse like, maybe it is my fault. Maybe if I didn't do this or I didn't do that, then he wouldn't do what he do. It's me. It's my fault. That's the lie you start telling yourself over and over again. Then you start accepting it. So now you're like, okay, I love him. So when your heart and your mind at war, that's hard. You can tell me to walk away. Come live with me, Paige. Come walk away. I guarantee you I can help you get on your feet and it. Hey, I love him though.
mm-hmm.
So my heart and my mind, what I know I need to be doing versus what I want to do is the fight. You feel me?
I mean, you get off, you come home, but knowing that you just took a life, what does that feel like?
I can't say it feel good because for those 11 years, out of respect for his family, I didn't speak a peeping word to anyone. Even though I got found not guilty. And it was a unanimous decision. But it's like, what do I do now? You know? It's like back to the beginning, back to the drawing board. I was with this man for 7 years. He was my life. He was my world. He was my everything. You feel me? Like my whole day, my whole year revolved, everything I did revolved around him. And so now in the process of him being dead, I have to find myself again. I don't know who I am no more. That was my identity. That was who I was. That was who I was. And so I'm self-sabotaging over these 11 years because I'm still having these nightmares. I'm still trying to find out who I am. He's still coming to me in my sleep. You know, I'm still trying to suppress this night to the back of my head. The images, the smell, I'm trying to like submerge it with alcohol, with partying, with all kind of things that make me feel good for the moment, but I'm still not facing it. So I self-sabotage for 11 years. I wasn't right in friendships. I wasn't right in relationships. I wasn't right for a long time until I started telling my story.
You have any regrets?
Of course I do. I regret that happened between us because I would so much have rather for him to be alive and free where he can see his kids and be with his kids and be a father because he was a great father. I regret the hurt I put the family through. I regret the hurt that I put my kids through. I regret all the self-sabotaging I did to myself over the years. Because I truly feel like if I never would have encountered this situation, I would have been so much farther in my life. Because I was so lost for a long time.
It's not your fault. You know, you grew up in hell on earth. You really did. You really did.
I feel like I could have been so much farther, you know, but I regret all the people I hurt. I regret a lot of stuff.
And you're still not with your kids, right?
My oldest kids stay right down the street from me, and we get them. Oh my God, we get them. And They're not in a home with me because they choose my auntie and my uncle. Because they got them at such a young age. They got them when they were 3 months and 2 years old. So, mind you, I'm in and out of jail, and I still can't be in the same home with them until my trial is over with. And so, me and my auntie decided that that's what's best for them.
Wow, wow, wow. What's something you would tell your younger self?
Oh my God, Paige. Walk away. That's not love. Walk away. Walk. Don't fall in love right now. Go be everything. Go to the Army. Go to the Navy. Go be a chef. I find myself at 32 finding stuff out, and it irks my husband because one day I want to wake up and I want to be a gardener. Next day I want to be a painter. Next minute I want to be a chef. It's like the more I grow and evolve, I'm starting to learn it's different things that I want to do, and I wish I could go back in time and do them all.
What's some advice that you would give to maybe a woman that's experiencing domestic violence and she's believing in her husband, her boyfriend, her significant other, or it could be a man too, and they just,
It could be a kid too.
it could be a kid, and they just, they don't want to leave. They just, they have the same love and affinity that you had. What's something that you would tell them after surviving what you have survived?
Walk away, because it's not worth being away from your kids. It's not worth going through a whole murder trial. It's not worth fighting for your life and your freedom. It's not worth that type of love. Is not love. It's not worth it. It's not worth the countless nights of sleeping. It's not worth the losing sleep. It's not worth the drugs or the alcohol you have to take to numb yourself from your reality. It's not worth you tearing yourself down or feeling like this is what you're worth. Know your worth, and I don't believe no woman should be being beat or damaged, abusive relationships in no type of way, whether it's emotional, physical, financial, because I went through all of it. I used to be financially abused. He used to be like, well, if you want your nails done, then come have sex with me or do this, and that. Like, I used to be abused on all kind of levels. It's not worth it. Know your worth. If you're insecure and you're not told that you're beautiful a lot, you have to build it up. You have to believe in it on your own. Nobody cannot do that for you. You have to love yourself first, and then everything else. And if you have kids and you're in an abusive relationship, think about your kids. If you're not happy, then you're not going to be right for them. It's not worth it. And I know it's hard when you love a man, but if a man loved you, he wouldn't beat you. He wouldn't hurt you. And that's what I give the next woman that's dealing with domestic violence.
This is Trappin Anonymous. My name is Chris Styles. Let's get it. How did the kids come back after staying with the other family? How did they come back to your side of the family?
My baby daddy was trying to take the kids from me. The one I told you that told me about his autopsy report, she found out that he had paid the lawyer in Woodville to strip me of my rights. He had went to get a whole nother house with all their clothes and stuff in it, but didn't tell her about it. One day she picked up my kids and drove them all the way to Bowman and said, Paige, here, he about to take your rights away from you. Only way you can get your kids and keep them or have a chance of getting them back is if you get somebody in your family to call CPS and say they want custody of the kids, and you give them permission. That's how I got Carvel and DeMaureen back into Bowman.